Have you ever heard of the janitor that amounted an $8 million fortune by the time he died? That is the story of Ronald Reed, a humble janitor with no inheritance, no lottery winnings, and no magic tricks. Yet somehow he defied the odds and created a vast amount of wealth that most of us can only dream about. You see, most people believe that financial success depends on knowledge, spreadsheets, and numbers. However, in reality, financial success comes down to behavior, emotions, and psychology. Now, we call this the psychology of money because humans are not rational. Financial literacy does not correlate with an individual's IQ. Whether you're drowning in debt or on the way to become the next Warren Buffett, the psychology of money is crucial to financial success. So how can we follow in the footsteps of the famous janitor Ronald Reed? Well, this video is going to take inspiration from the famous book The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. So let's dive into understanding the human side of finance. Lesson 1, the never enough trap. How many times have you seen someone else's big house, fast car, or luxury vacation and thought to yourself, I wish that was me? Well, you're not alone. Social comparisons tend to lead to feelings of envy and insecurities, which end up clouding our judgment. We end up chasing short-term financial goals, which can result in us losing money and feeling less happy because we lose sight of what truly matters. As a result, we need to be careful of moving goalposts. Constantly comparing yourself to someone above you financially will lead to you constantly chasing for more. Let's take Michael Jordan as a comparison, the highest paid athlete of all time with a lifetime earning of $3.3 billion. I would love to have $3.3 billion, and I'm sure you would as well. However, if Michael Jordan compared himself to Elon Musk, even Michael Jordan would feel poor. Elon Musk is worth $230 billion. That's 70 times more than Michael Jordan's lifetime earnings. The problem is capitalism is great at producing wealth, but it's even better at producing envy. In order to stay truly grounded, we should, number 1, write down clear and defined goals of what we truly want to achieve in life. And number 2, we need to beware of the game of social comparison. People around us have a powerful influence on how we feel, so we need to ensure we stick to our own path rather than following someone else's. Lesson 2, understanding true wealth. When we think about wealth, our mind automatically jumps to material possessions. Like I said earlier, the big house, the fast car, the luxury vacations. But is that what wealth is truly about? As the famous quote goes, we buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't even like. So I want you to think about the following concepts. Number 1, wealth is not externally visible. Wealth is not the money someone has spent, but the money they have saved and invested. As a result, that generally makes wealth hidden in items such as stocks, bonds, and real estate. We've all heard the stories of celebrities that look rich online, however in reality they're bankrupt. Number 2, happiness comes from having control over our time rather than the income we make. We feel best when we can do what we want, when we want, how we want. As Charlie Munger, the man worth $2.5 billion, once said, I did not intend to get rich, I just wanted to get independent. Most of us can save significant amounts of money if we reduce our desires and ego. Many of our expenses come from social comparisons rather than necessity. As a result, we can increase financial independence much faster if we increase humility. Lesson 3, marginal safety. Have you noticed you only ever hear 2 types of stories when it comes to the stock market? Person A who swears the stock market is a scam and lost all of their money. Or person B who claims they've made so much money from the stock market it sort of seems a bit too easy. Well, the only difference between those 2 stories is the decision-making framework. Investing has an emotional cost that people don't consider. I'm talking about self-doubt, fear, instabilities of that number on a screen going up and down like a roller coaster. Studying investing in theory is so different to the feeling of reality, of seeing your potential life savings go down by 30-40% during an economic recession. Leaving room for error or a marginal safety is the best strategy for avoiding emotional pain during market downturns and volatility. This means choosing a strategy that might be, yes, less optimal, but more stable. Now, 2 examples of this is number 1, choosing low growth but stable investments. By putting a greater percentage of our wealth into stable investments such as bonds, we create a safety net. This way, we're less likely to panic sell during a market downturn and therefore stick to our long-term strategy. Number 2, maintaining a larger cash reserve, also known as an emergency fund. The popular finance guru Dave Ramsey suggests 3 to 6 months of living expenses as your emergency fund, with a minimum amount of $5,000. Lesson number 4, you will be wrong. What if you discovered that even the most successful and wealthy people are wrong 99%? In fact, it's only the 1% of their decisions that result in them creating this large amount of wealth. Welcome to the concept of tail events. Most investments either lose money or break even, but it's that small percentage of winners that will generate your wealth. Let's take the famous Warren Buffett with over $100 billion in net worth. Well, over his lifetime, he has owned over 400 different stocks. However, most of his wealth has only come from 10 of those stocks. Now, here are some pragmatic takeaways regarding tail events. Number 1, diversify your investments. In fact, if you're using index funds, then you're already ahead of the majority of the population. And that's because index funds contain a small amount of every single major company out there. Number 2, don't sweat frequent and small failures. Part of the game when it comes to investment and business is to have many small failures. In fact, don't view them as failures, just view them as mini experiments that didn't work out. Now, by realizing and implementing these 4 lessons, you can begin to reprogram how your brain views money. You just need to make sure that the cost of these small experiments aren't big enough to wipe you out financially. Humans aren't rational, as we've mentioned. As a result, we overcomplicate the path towards financial freedom. As long as you can understand the psychology behind the decisions you make and the emotions that back them, if you can manipulate your mind into a rational way of thinking, then you'll be able to make improved decisions and better financial choices. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe and like.